Welcome to DEMOCREPUBLIX News, where we cover the real news that matter to we the people. All right, let's go over some headlines. All right, I'm gonna start over here on the right with the Gateway Pundit. John McAfee wife speaks out. I blame the U.S. authorities. He would never quit this way. He would never take his life. His wife talking about his death. Let's see. Is there a video? Yeah, oh yeah, here's a video. Let's check out the video.
John McAfee was not suicidal. I spoke with him a few hours before he was found dead. We spoke about the court's decision to extradite him to the U.S. It did not come as a surprise to either of us. We were prepared for that decision and had a plan of action already in place to appeal that decision. I blame the U.S. authorities for this tragedy. Because of these politically motivated charges against him, my husband is now dead. His last words to me were, "I love you and I will call you in the evening." Those words are not words of someone who is suicidal. All John wanted to do was spend his remaining years fishing and drinking. He did not deserve to die in a filthy prison like a caged animal. We knew that there would be an uphill battle to continue to fight this situation. But he's a fighter. He's always a fighter, and anybody that knows John, that knows him even a little bit, knows that about him. He would never quit this way. He would never take his life in this way. I didn't believe he did this, and I will get answers. I want answers of how this was able to happen.
That's sad. Yeah, I'm leaning towards that someone took him out. He knew too much. But it's interesting. I wonder what everybody else think about it. 3 dead and 10 injured after Somalian migrant goes on stabbing attack in Germany. May inflation, the largest increase since 1992. Inflation expected to reach 8% in 2021 per top bank American strategist. I told y'all this inflation stuff ain't no joke. All you have to do if you ever want to test inflation is go to the grocery store, look at milk, cheese, and meat, and that'll let you know where we at with inflation. But the Biden economy just got worse. A top executive at Bank of America believes inflation will reach 8% this year. We reported recently that inflation was a major concern in the markets today. Then we heard Treasury Secretary Yellen say inflation may be a good thing. Like, I don't know how you spin inflation as a good thing. Then we reported that inflation had hit. This was reported in June. They're talking about disinflation and wholesale prices increased to 6.6%, the largest increase since the measurement was first compiled. You know, we've been talking about inflation ever since Biden got in office. Inflation been going up, and I've been trying to warn people. Start saving up money now because it's only gonna get worse. This all was reported in June. Then today, U.S. core inflation jumped 3.9% in May, up 3.4% over the past 2 months. And it says here, I just read that. And also today, a Bank of America report warns its readers about inflation. So everyone's warning about inflation. Just a couple months ago, they was like, there is no inflation. I've read some places, like 2-3 months ago, they said there was no inflation. And now they're finally admitting it. A new Bank of America report predicts consumer prices will continue to soar for up to 4 years as the Federal Reserve preferred measure of inflation hits its highest level in 3 decades. In a note on Friday, Bank of America's top strategist Michael Hartnett predicted inflation will remain in the 2 to 4% range over the next 2 to 4 years. I think it's going to be higher than 2 to 4. I see it going 5 to 6. U.S. inflation has averaged 3% in the past 100 years. The 2% in the 2010s and 1% in 2020. Wow, only 1% in 2020. That's pretty good. But it will annualize at 8% in 2021, Bank of America predicted in the note. Included are the Fed's report on inflation. One chart shows the drastic change in the economy for the worse once the Biden administration started spending like drunken sailors. Apologies to drunken sailors, they say. The Biden-Obama gang is at it again, working against the U.S. as its and its people in the effort to destroy this once great country. And I hate to say I told you so, but I told you so. This is what was I said this was going to happen when Biden get in office, and this is exactly what's happening. Vote with your you gotta vote with your brain, not with emotions. That's what I be trying to tell people. And now look, we got an incompetent person that more than likely has dementia in office running our country. More than likely he's just a puppet. Because he don't know where he is half the time. And now we got inflation as high as it is. And it's only going to get worse. This is just the beginning. More, the Gateway pundit, people of Georgia should sue the state and their elected officials for running a corrupt and rigged 2020 presidential election. That's a statement from President Trump. Let's see, 3 dead and 10 injured after Somalian migrant goes on stabbing. Went over that. Excuse me. Damning video released by Bobby Powell of June 6 protest shows violent hoodlums in black smashing windows, damaging U.S. Capitol. Excuse me. But FBI refuses to look for them despite ironclad evidence. Weird, huh? I mean, more than likely, they're agent provocateurs. Just like I said, they more than likely work for the FBI. But that don't excuse the people that actually went inside either, though. Because they had a choice not to go in the building. And they went in there anyway, following the idiots that broke the window. Like I said, which is more likely agent provocateurs. So just how many FBI informants and infiltrators were involved in the January 6th riot? And why is the FBI refusing to look for 2 of the most violent protesters? Bobby Powell, the host of the Truth is Viral podcast, was invited on OAN last week to discuss his viral video that exposed 2 likely FBI informants who were filmed breaking windows, attacking the building, and even pushing people inside the U.S. Capitol. See, and so why aren't they investigating the people that started this stuff? Because they work for the FBI. Bobby was on the east side of the U.S. Capitol on January 6th. He witnessed several men attacking the building. Bobby told OAN, 2 men I saw attacking the building, breaking windows, and even pushing people inside have not been arrested. And they are not on the list of suspects being sought by the FBI. Now, I provided the FBI with 29 minutes of high-definition footage, 1080p, more than 5 months ago. Neither one of these men have been arrested. They are not in any of the 400 plus indictments. I've checked them all. They are. There's not one frame of the video, not one still photograph on either of these men on the FBI's webpage that asks people to give them tips who the rioters were. The FBI YouTube channel on Facebook page or their Facebook page, they're putting up all kinds of fuzzy pictures, but they're not putting up the HDI images I sent them. Bobby and fellow Trump supporters then stood guard at the broken window and refused to allow fellow Trump supporters inside the building. The police left the U.S. Capitol open. It was all a setup. And I said that from the beginning. I said that from the very beginning. But that don't excuse the people that actually went inside either. I mean, idiots. I knew from the beginning it was a setup. Why did people go in? They should have known that this was going to happen. The FBI is known for setting people up like that. Again, if you don't know what I'm talking about, look into COINTELPRO. Look what they did to the Black Panthers. It's history of FBI setting up and putting in agent provocateurs and setting people up. They have a record of that. Let's see. Retired 4-star general calls for Tucker Carlson to be fired for criticizing General Mark Milley. So you can't criticize the general now? You can't criticize our military? You can't criticize our government? Especially when you have a socialist running the military, General Milley. You can't criticize them? They're above reproach. Arizona audit update. Paper analysis completed. Team vacating Coliseum. What's next? Let's see. Zero Hedge. Zero Hedge is one of my favorite news outlets. They get a lot of news first, or link to a lot of news first, and put out some really good information. Let's see. Zero Hedge. Parents sue LA school district over COVID mandates for children. Good on them. Because everyone knows that children have a very, very low chance of getting coronavirus. And their chances of dying from is even lower than the population. So why do they have to get the jab? An experimental jab. It makes no sense. Nevada Sheriff Group says NSA sitting on every call, text, chat, and banking transaction for elite pedos and Wall Street criminals. Of course, NSA has everything. What they do is they have the calls and the information all recorded, especially the calls. Calls get recorded and they turn it into transcripts and all put in a system, and it's all being monitored by algorithms, by artificial intelligence, and they can type in keywords of key people and just find all your information. The NSA been having that for years. Let's see. Biden's real crime against the economy. Let's see what this is about. Biden's real crime against the economy. This is authored by James Rickards via the Daily Reckoning. James Rickards put out some good stuff. He said, "I'll try to keep politics out of my economic analysis." It's kind of one and the same, really. I don't know how you could do that. And my approach is nonpartisan, but sometimes I can't avoid it because political policies can have a significant economic impact. That's what I was saying. Today is one of those times. One of Joe Biden's first acts as president was to kill the construction of the Keystone XL pipeline. That's what I've been saying. I've been talking about that since he deaded it. That's why the price of gas is going up. He's trying to. America has become independent. We didn't need any other countries with oil, and because of President Trump's great policies of deregulation, and Biden came in and killed all of that, and price of gas has gone up. And not only did he kill our pipeline, but he actually told Russia it's okay to run their pipeline though. So our pipeline we can't have, but it's okay for supposedly our adversary Russia to he okayed them with their pipeline. This is the hypocrisy that we live with every day. This is the pipeline that will bring oil from the tar sands of Alberta, Canada, to the Midwest United States. From there, it would be moved through other pipelines and refined and distributed to gas stations and industrial users in America. Biden's decision was destructive for a long list of reasons. The immediate impact was to kill about 10,000 high-paying union jobs with benefits in construction, transportation, and expert services. The ripple effect were even greater. Once a pipe delivery operation is killed, the trucking company and pipe manufacturer lay off more personnel, and those workers stop spending at local restaurants and so on. Yeah, it's a pattern. Like, he knew what he was doing. I think it's by design. They're trying to destroy the country. Because no one is this stupid. If they, I mean, I would hope no one is this stupid. I know they know what they're doing. They're intentionally trying to destroy the economy. That way they can bring in order out of chaos. That way they can bring in their socialist agenda. Let's see. But killing the pipeline accomplishes nothing from an environmental standpoint. The decision to end the pipeline is pointless because the oil still moves out of Alberta. Yeah, they use trucks. It's going to have to be trucked out of there, which is more harmless to the environment than the freaking pipeline. Which is, and if environmentalists are so stupid, they don't get that. In the absence of the pipeline, the oil moves by railroad tracker cars on rail lines owned by Warren Buffett. Oh, maybe that's one of the real reasons. We know who he's a big he's a big donor to the Democrat Party. Pipelines are better for the environment. That's what I was saying. It's just the railroad uses more energy and has higher CO2 emissions than the pipeline. If you cared about the environment, like I was saying, you rather you favor a pipeline over railroads. Okay, I'm not going to go through all of that. That's pretty much reiterating what I've been saying. Real climate change. He said, I lived for 10 years on Long Island Sound, a beautiful body of water where locals enjoy fishing, sailing, swimming, and other water sports. It has a rocky coast because 2,000 years ago, it was a glacier. A glacier pushes rock out of the way, and they accumulate along the edges in a formation called a moraine. Going from a glacier to a waterway is a result of real climate change, but the process took 10 millennia, not 10 years. The idea of cities will be inundated by rising oceans in 10 years, and a stock claim of climate alarmists and nonsense, by the way. The alarmists made the same claim 20 years ago, 15 years ago, and 10 years ago, and they've been dead wrong every time. And I would add that not only they've been dead wrong, they buy up oceanfront property. Why did Obama buy oceanfront property? Why all these people buy oceanfront property if the sea is rising? And you know what I'm saying? All you have to do is use a little common sense. Propaganda. They know they can't impose global solutions unless they concoct a global problem, and climate change, as the alarmists define it, fills the bill perfectly. The hidden agenda is revealed in their writings, which discuss the need to frame the issue, for example. But why do you have to frame anything if the story is true? And that's a good question, because it's not true. I mean, this is all. That's why they own all stock in carbon exchanges and fly these big jets back and forth around the world by themselves, putting out all these carbon emissions, because they know the whole thing is false. No one would be doing what they're doing if they really believe what they were saying. Framing is a form of propaganda, and speaking of that, I started writing a book on the media and propaganda and the history of propaganda in this country, and I just started writing it. I don't know how long it's gonna take me to finish it, but once I do, I will let y'all know. The climate alarmist's favorite tool. You don't need to frame a narrative if you have to go. If you have good science on your side, the facts will speak for themselves. So you can be sure you're being fed propaganda. Let's see. Follow the money. I'm not gonna read this whole thing. Let's go to follow the money. The public story is that ExxonMobil was too slow in adapting its business plan to a world of solar and wind power and electronic vehicles. The reality is more complicated. There's good reason to believe that solar and wind will never provide more than a small percentage of power needed to run America. Yeah, look at California with the power outages and the stuff they have all the time. It's just not powerful enough to power a whole city. ExxonMobil is an oil and gas exploration and distribution company. They should stick to what they do best and let others build windmills. Oil and gas, nuclear and hydroelectric will power the country for decades to come or longer. And nuclear nuclear that we run in our country is a lot safer than what people make it out to be. Let's see. So why did Larry Fink and BlackRock climb onto the green train? Excuse me. It turns out he's promoting so-called ESG fund, or environmental, social, and governance, with higher fees to customers. Fink and others are just promoters using the green banner to make more money at investors' expenses. That's what it's all about. And soon they're going to be pushing carbon taxes and all this other stuff. That's what they do. It's all a gimmick. It's all for money. It's all for profit. Parents sue LA school over COVID mandates. Went over that. Nevada Sheriff Group says NSA. Went over that. Japanese lawmakers scold Toshiba investors, saying activists only think about selling high. Washington State forces nearly everyone to buy long-term health care. They can't do that, can they? Unprecedented event. Pacific Northwest set to shatter heat record this weekend. Let's see. Greenwald. What is behind General Mark Milley's race sermon? Look to the new domestic war on terror. Yeah, I mean, it's simple. They're coming after normal Americans. That's what this is all about. The military has been flipped and is no longer for the people. When you have socialists like him running the military, for 240 years, America's generals have not exactly been defined by adamant public advocacy for left-wing cultural dogma. No joke. Yet there appeared to be a great awakening at the Pentagon on Wednesday when General Mark Milley, the highest-ranking military officer in the U.S., as chairman of Joint Chiefs of Staff, testified at a House hearing. The chairman vehemently defended the teaching of critical race theory at West Point and referencing the January 6th Capitol riot. He said, "It is important that we train and we understand, and I want to understand white rage. I'm white," he says, and we showed that video at a previous headlines. In response to conservative criticism, the top military official should not be weighing in on inflammatory and polarizing cultural debates. Liberals were ecstatic to have found such an empathetic, racially aware, and humanitarian general sitting atop the U.S. imperial war machine. That's true. They're not supposed to be political. The military is not supposed to be political. Overnight, General Milley became a new hero for the U.S. liberalism, a noble military leader, which, like former FBI Director Robert Mueller before him, no patriotic, decent American would question, let alone mock. Some prominent liberal commentators warn that conservatives are now anti-military and even seek to defund the Pentagon. Well, if they're acting like this, I'm all for defunding the Pentagon. It is, of course, possible that the top brass of the U.S. military has suddenly become supreme enlightenment on questions of racial strife and racial identity in the U.S., and thus genuinely embraces theories that until very recently were exclusive province of left-wing scholars at elite academic institutions. And now it can filter out to the rest of the country. Let's see. Yeah, I think that's it for that, because it's just going to get me hopping mad, and it's Friday. I'm not trying to be all amped up, so let's see what other news is going on. Y'all know I'm passionate about the military. I'm a veteran. Let's see. Unprecedented event, Pacific Northwest set to shatter heat records. Went over that. Alright, let's see. Just the news. Hundreds more unmarked graves found in another Canadian Indian school. They killed a lot of Indians in Canada. That is crazy. Ohio governor says sports leagues, not government, should address transgender issue. Okay. Kemp slams disgusting DOJ lawsuit against Georgia, says feds are weaponizing government. Maryland announces over 500,000 new potentially fraudulent unemployment claims since May. I mean, this is what happened when you start printing money handing it out like candy. It's gonna be ripe for fraud. Ocasio-Cortez said group of Senate infrastructure negotiators lack diversity. Oh my God. How about just having the best people there that can get something done that don't spend trillions of dollars? I mean, what diversity got to do with making a deal? It's freaking crazy. Justice Department. Let's see. Justice Department sues Georgia over GOP state lawmakers' new voting law. SCOTUS consensus on divisive issues, including student speech, undermines court packing push. Let's see. The Daily Mail. Let's see what's going on with the Daily Mail. You know, Daily Mail is hit or miss. Every once in a while, they have some good information. Sometimes they have some propaganda, so we're gonna have to weed through this. Let's see. FDA authorizes rheumatoid arthritis drug for emergency use to treat severely ill COVID-19 patients. Yeah, I heard it been working, is what I heard. I heard some great results with that medicine. Fully vaccinated New Jersey woman 62 dies of the jab in rare breakthrough case. They say it's rare, but I hear about it all the time. Biden says Derek Chauvin 22.5-year sentence for murdering George Floyd seems to be appropriate. Miami building collapse. Woman 64 living in condo was woken by creaking noises the night before. Engineer who surveyed Champlain Towers wasn't asked to check foundations. Chris Watt, prison pen pal, speaks out about his letters from prison. Al Sharpton slams Derek Chauvin 22.5-year sentence in George Floyd murder. Sharpton made the remarks in front of about 100 people who gather outside the Hennepin County Courthouse in Minnesota. Why is he slamming it? 22 years is a long time. Internet trolls possesses narcissism, Machiavellianism, psychopathy, and Schadenfreude. I don't even know what that is. Study 5. Okay, I'm a therapist and I don't even know what that is. Okay. I'm not gonna get it. Maybe I'll look into this another day and do like a full thing on that. Matter of fact, let's click on it and I'll save it and I'll do a whole video on this. There might be something interesting to talk about. Do a whole segment on internet trolls. But y'all know me, I gotta do my research first so I know what I'm talking about. Alright, Alright, we're at Daily Caller. Daily Mail. Let's see. 3 cops charged with aiding murder of George Floyd will be back in court in 3 weeks. A man arrested during Virginia school board meeting about transgender children critical race theory. People are up in arms about critical race theory, and rightfully so. We need to get it out of our schools. You know, I talk about it all the time. You can watch the previous videos where I really get into CRT. The Daily Caller, the border crisis that Kamala Harris didn't see. Pulse nightclub made a national memorial as Biden signs bill into law. The U.S. government just released a report on UFOs. Why are they so spooked? Okay, let me get into the whole UFO situation just really quick. I think the whole UFO thing is they're planning. I don't know if you know anything about Project Bluebeam. You can Google it. I think that's what they're going to use to try to make it like a fake UFO invasion, so the government could be able to take more of our liberties and take more power. That's what I think this is about. That's why they're doing a slow leak of the UFO stuff. Do I believe in UFOs? Absolutely. But do I believe that? But Do I believe they're gonna come and invade and stuff like that? No, I don't think they are able to. Maybe I'll do a whole show on that, on what I believe UFOs are. Uh, um, I think they're interdimensional, not extraterrestrial. But maybe I'll do a whole show on what I believe about the UFO situation, because I can go deep into that. Let's see, analysis. The response from liberals on resistance to critical race theory is to pretend it doesn't exist. The strategy will backfire. They pretending it don't exist. Come on. So all these people are up in arms, showing the stuff that they're teaching, and they saying it don't exist. They actually have the books and stuff of the of CRT, but it don't exist. Let's see. Florida will send 50 officers to assist Texas in border crisis. Not just Black Lives Matter, all lives matter, says George Floyd brother at Chauvin Sentencing. When you get comfortable, people forget about you. Let's see. Van Jones, this is the Hill. Van Jones, Chauvin sentence is a punch in the gut. I mean, the man's going to be locked up for 22 and a half years. How is that a punch in the gut? And that's the norm, really, for murder. These people don't know what they're talking about. U.S. intel report confirms more than 140 UFO sightings. Chauvin breaks silence at sentencing, offers condolence to the Floyd family. Chauvin sentence, we talked about that. Police officer injured in January 6 presses McCarthy during meeting. Leaders of Florida church arrested in connection to Capitol riot. Wow. I mean, they're just arresting normal citizens that really didn't do anything. Majority of them just walked in the building and took pictures, and that's it. And they're coming for them. They're coming for regular Americans. It's starting with the people that went to a protest, and then it's gonna come. They're gonna come after regular citizens in their home speaking out against it. That's the next step. Watch what I tell you. Ron DeSantis, new king of the GOP. Trump without the gold toilet. They're really propping up Ron DeSantis. I think I don't know. I'm gonna reserve my judgment right now. Some of his policies I do agree with, but I don't know. Maybe I'll get into that something later. But I feel a conspiracy, but I'm gonna leave it alone for right now because I like his policies. But I don't know. Something about this guy that's not sitting with me right. But I'll leave it alone for right now. Washington Examiner. McCarthy dismisses Pelosi announcement of plans for January 6th special committee. Harris, hold on a second. Give me 1 second. I'm having some feet. I have to close my doors. Loud. All right, let's see. Where was I? Let's see. Ron DeSantis. Washington. We're in Washington Examiner. McCarthy dismisses Pelosi announcement. Harris answered question about border visit by attacking Trump. Would you expect anything less? It's deflection. That's all it is. But let's see what she has to say. Harris answers questions about border visit by attacking Trump. Vice President Kamala Harris flipped a question at her Friday press conference in Texas into a chance to attack former President Donald Trump's hardline immigration policies. Republicans and even some Democrats had previously criticized the vice president for making her first border trip to El Paso, a city nearly 1,000 miles away from what they call the epicenter of the border crisis. And the first question at Harris's press conference asked why she selected El Paso over an area like the Rio Grande Valley. Sorry, it's been a long day at the prison. I wish I could tell you all the stories, but confidentiality. Let's see. Quote, so first of all, what is happening here in El Paso really is in many ways highlight many facets of the issue of immigration, Harris answered. Quote, it is here in El Paso that the previous administration child separation policy was unveiled, and so we've seen the disastrous effects of that right here in this region. What about the disastrous effects of your open border policy? What about that, Harris? Quote, it is here, El Paso, that the return of the to Mexico policy from the previous administration was implemented, she continued. We have seen the disaster that results from here in El Paso. I mean, he's not in office anymore. You're in office. They're talking about you going there and doing something to and protecting the border. Why are you bringing Trump up into this? Harris claimed that, quote, this has been a very important trip. So what took you so long? If it's so important, why, when Trump said he's going to go to the border, you decide to go? Why haven't you been days, weeks ago, months ago? Why now? Because Trump decided to go. So it must have not been too important. It wasn't important until Trump said he was going to come to the border. Quote, this has been a trip that is also connected with the obvious point. If you want to deal with a problem, you can't just deal with the symptoms of the problem. You got to figure out what caused it to happen, she said, which is why after taking a leadership role on root causes, one of the first trips I took was to Guatemala. You saw how they treated you in Guatemala. They had signs and stuff saying Trump really won and go back home and we don't want you here. Let's see. Why is this not going away here? Quote, I got several texts and one phone call from people in my district. Why is she going over there? She should be coming here. It says she ought to be here. Cooler said in an interview, even Border Patrol yesterday, people that I know said, why not down to the valley? And I don't know how to answer them. I don't know the rationale why. Yeah, nobody knows. It's just political theater. She don't really care about the border. That's what the deal is. She really don't care about the border. All right, let's see. Still on the Washington Examiner. Where was White House bipartisan infrastructure bill absolutely not stuck in the pothole after tandem backlash. 3 things to watch as Kamala Harris sets foot on the border. Harris bristles at border question, insists it's not her first trip. What? Harris visit U.S.-Mexico border. Biden named special envoy for gay rights during Pride Month. What about special envoy for black people? You're supposed to be meeting with Ice Cube, and you still haven't done it. Still haven't met with Black Lives Matter, even though I know Black Lives Matter is a farce. They really don't care about black lives, particularly black men. They hate black men, but I'm going to leave that one alone. But he still haven't met with them. So Biden, I'm not going to say anything else about that. Kindergarten will be required in Louisiana after Edwards signs legislation. Police chief, ignorant scrutiny, not money, compounding Illinois recruitment problems. Yeah. How about defunding and people hating the police because that's the narrative that the Democrats are pushing. That's what's going on with police recruitment. Who wants to be a police officer when people treat them like that? You know what I'm saying? That's why recruitment is so low. New Hampshire sees slight uptick in jobless claims. Intelligence community says UFO remain mostly unidentified. Federal unemployment benefits tied to pandemic end in Georgia this week. Inslee extends Washington State's eviction moratorium into fall. Pennsylvania takeout cocktail caught in legislative tug of war. Missouri Senate set for showdown debate on Medicaid hospital tax extension. All right, let's see. The Daily Wire, another one of my favorite headlines. One of my favorite news sites. Let's see. U.S. intelligence cannot explain more than 140 UFOs. Talked about that. State PTA threatens to disband magnet school PTA after its Asian parent reject anti-merit woke policies. Excessive secrecy will only spur more speculation. Figures react to long-awaited inclusion in UFO report. U.S. government released UFO report. We talked about that. Democratic congressman calls El Paso New Ellis Island. What does the U.S. intelligence report on UFO say? Everything you need to know. Thinking about, I'm going to do a full report on that. Watch. Baseball player charges mound with bat in wild on-field brawl. Get him. Again, I don't really go over Drudge Report because Drudge Report, I believe Matt Drudge sold Drudge Report to leftists. That's why the whole Drudge Report is going to crap. But I keep it on here just so I know what the left is thinking. Let's see. We'll do the Federalist and then Breitbart. So the Federalist, Bachelor viewership tanked by more than 1 million because race politics is poison. Of China and for China. Nike CEO admits company exists to serve communist China. Let's see what that's about. All right. China, of China, and for China. Nike CEO admits company exists to serve communist China. Gosh, I can't stop. Like y'all, I don't know if y'all know, but I don't do boycotts. I don't believe in boycotts, but I do personal boycotts. That's why I stopped eating my my beloved Oreo Blizzards because of Oreo. But I didn't go out and tell people they should stop eating Oreos. I just, me personally, stopped purchasing Oreos, and I love Oreos. Same thing for Nike. It's kind of hard for me to ban Nike because all my shoes are Jordan, and I love Jordans, and I like Michael Jordan. So I don't see myself really stopping purchasing Nike, even though I can't stand their stance with China and protecting China. But let's see what this article says. Nike Chief Executive Officer John Donahue defended his company's relationship with Communist China in a phone call with Wall Street analysts on earnings. Quote, Nike is a brand that is of China and for China. Wow, Donahue said. He literally said it. Oh, they got it in quotation marks. He literally said it. Donahue's comment comes after Nike released a statement in March claiming it is, quote, concerned about reports of forced labor in and connected to the Xinjiang Uyghur Autonomous Region. I can't believe they admitted that, but China might have picked up the phone and be like, hey, you better shut up about that, because it seemed like they're backtracking now. While the company also claimed it does not directly source its product material from forced labor, sure you don't. Critics argue the country's supply chains are interwoven. They are thought to be more than 1 million Uyghur Muslim. I cannot pronounce that word. Let's call them Uyghur Muslims held in Xinjiang, which delivers 80% of Chinese cotton. Nike partnered with Coca-Cola and Apple to lobby against a Xinjiang forced labor measure last November. The bill, called the Uyghur Forced Labor Prevention Act, made its way through the House of Representatives 406-3. I wonder who the three were that voted against it. That's kind of weird that 3 people would be for slave labor. I bet you 9 times out of 10, I bet you dollars to donuts that they're 3 Democrats. The bill would have imposed various restrictions related to China, Xinjiang Uyghur Autonomous Region, including by prohibiting certain imports from Xinjiang and imposing sanctions on those responsible for human rights violations there. An Australian report from March 2020 alleged Nike, Apple, and 80 other corporations are potentially directly or indirectly benefiting from the use of Uyghur workers. Yeah, because it's cheap labor. Outside of Xinjiang through abusive labor transfer programs as recently as 2019. Yeah, they directly benefit from it because it's cheap labor, like I said. An earnings release Thursday shows Nike increased reported sales in China, sitting at 1.9 billion for a 3-month period. This number is a 17% increase from the same time last year. 80% of Nike's donations went to Democrats in 2020, of course, amounting to a total more than $604,000. While discussing Nike's success in China, Donahoe said, quote, "We have been in China for over 40 years, and the biggest asset is consumer equity. It's real. I saw it in my first week on the job." Nike did not immediately respond to the Federalist. Oh, you think they're going to respond to that? Come on. Come on. Be for real. Cheap labor. I'm not going to give up my Jordans. I'm just going to be real with you. Let's see. Underage joyride skyrocketing in Washington, D.C. GOP invokes engaging the culture war with combat critical race theory. Harris deflects border question upon arrival, claims it's not her first trip. Yeah, it is. She just straight lying. When have you been to the border? When have you been to the border? She's just lying. She act like people can't check that. Biden land management nominee is an eco-terrorist who demanded Chinese-style child cap. Of course. Let's see. Breitbart. China compares Apple daily shutdown to big tech blocking Parler. That's rich. That's rich. Iran. Ayatollah Khamenei gets homemade coronavirus vaccine on TV. Wow, homemade. Exclusive. Robert Bork Jr., revolutionary FTC chair Lena Khan will use antitrust to impose woke standards into corporate management. It's crazy. That's Nike again. MSNBC Watts. Trump is still the biggest risk to the country. They still talking about Trump, and the man is not in office, and just straight ignoring all the crap that Biden is doing. I mean, his son is literally money laundering, selling ugly paintings for $500,000, and they don't even mention it. Hollywood celebrities erupt after Derek Chauvin sentences. F you, Derek. 22 and a half years is not long enough. CNN's Van Jones, we talked about him. He thinks it's a punch in the gut. PJ Media. Vaccinated people are getting COVID. Some are dying. Let's see what's going on with this. Got to be careful with this because we know how the overlords are. Let's see. Jabbed people are getting COVID. Some are dying. All right, let's see. Tell someone you don't want to get the jab because the jab is untested and you will likely be called some nasty names. Some business owners might kick you out. Some bootlicking leftists will tell you you're a conspiracy nut. Hold the line. It is not approved by the FDA yet. It is still an experimental drug. So why are people mandating that people have it? That's my question. Don't say those things in Michigan where a 13-year-old boy died 3 days after getting his second jab. The U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention is looking into the boy's death after he received the jab, according to the country's health officials in Michigan. Quote, loss of life in an adolescence for any reason is heartbreaking. Health Officer Chris Harrington, MPH, and Medical Director Delica Pruitt, MD, are mothers of children near the boy's age, so it hits close to home for them, said a news release in Saginaw County, Michigan, that was sent to local news outlets on June 23rd. It is not known if the 13-year-old boy had any underlying health conditions. It is also unclear if the teen suffered from either of the rare heart inflammation conditions. We talked about that before. Myocarditis and pericarditis. I can't pronounce these words. That the CDC has said has been linked to the jab. Chickasaw County health officials didn't elaborate on which jab the team received, only noting that he received 2 doses, the only 2-dose jabs approved for usage in the United States are Pfizer and Moderna, of course. A CDC safety panel said more than 1,200 cases of heart inflammation in adolescents and young adults were reported following the administer of either the Pfizer or Moderna 2-shot jab. After a review of the jab, adverse event supporting system, that's VAERS, we talked about that system, submission, the CDC discovered that 827 reports for the myocarditis or the P after the second dose of the jab, almost said it, while 267 people reported the heart condition after the first dose. The remaining reports did not specify which dose. Almost half of recently infected Israelis were fully jabbed. So yeah, I'm not getting any. I'm just saying, if you're gonna go get the jab, please get checked out with your doctor first, because people are dying from it. It's plain and simple as that. And I won't allow my child to get the jab, because it's just you're a guinea pig. You're a guinea pig. Let's see. Hillbilly Elegy, author eviscerates woke Joint Chiefs of Staff. Precocious tween Alexandria Cortez puts her indoctrination, ignorance on narcissism on fullest display. Judge denies new trial of sentencing former police officer Derek Chauvin in the death of George Floyd. Daily dose of Downey. The war on cops heats up. Portland mob riots for dead black guy until learning he was white. Just, oh my gosh, the racism is rampant. Has the pandemic made socialism in America inevitable? That's what the checks is about. It's about getting people used to getting money from the government so they can ease in socialism. Parents fighting critical race theories in K through 12 need to use every tool available, including the courts. Yes. Sue them. Bongino report. Pentagon UFO report release. We talked about that. VP Harris visit part of border. We went over that. Derek Chauvin. Trump announces second post-White House rally. 61% of U.S. counties are now Second Amendment sanctuaries, and that is awesome. Second Amendment. We had a right to bear arms. It shall not be infringed. U.S. drone strike launch against Taliban ahead of Biden meeting with Afghan president. Judge denies Derek Chauvin motion for new trial. We talked about that. WorldNet Daily. Congressman asks for federal investigation of Wells Fargo. Wells Fargo is just... Man, it's always something with Wells Fargo. Education group objects to election, threatens to throw it out. GOP blasts Biden for holding infrastructure plan hostage to Dems' demands. 60% of voters believe COVID-19 leaked from a Chinese lab. Wow, 60%. Wow, it's growing. When I talked about it in February 2020, I talked about it leaking from a lab. I was considered a crackpot. I was considered a conspiracy theorist. No. What I do is I read and I research. I research. I look at studies. I listen to experts in their field. And that's where I get this stuff from. If a Nobel Peace Prize winning virologist says that this looks man-made, I tend to listen to that Nobel Prize winning virologist. As simple as that. It's all it is. Mark my word, Juneteenth will replace July 4th. I hope not. The tragedy of food deserts and what's causing them. Food deserts. I said desserts. Bible quiz. Did Jesus actually preach the gospel? What Jesus said was gospel. I don't really get that question, but oh well. The Free Beacon, Virginia PTA moves to eliminate school's parent group after anti-critical race theory candidates elected. Wow. So they don't get what they want, so they get rid of the PTA. That's great. President Jennifer Rubin, Washington Post columnist, get results with DOJ lawsuit. Photos show White House attending social event at all-white beach club. Yeah, I told y'all the real racists are Democrats. That's why it's okay for this Congressman this White House guy, to belong to this all-white exclusive club that don't allow black people or people of color in their club. It's okay because he has a D next to his name. You can be racist all you want as long as you got that uppercase D after your name. Biden DOJ sues Georgia over voting law. Harrison Ford film set injury is bad news for Joe Biden. Let's see. After considering region-wide ban, Biden targets just one Xi Jinping solar material company. More than 500,000 illegal immigrants cross southern borders since Kamala Harris named border czar. Wow. Yeah. That's because it is wide open by design. This is all by design. Wake up, people. Wake up. It's all by design. Colombia's president shot at in helicopter but survives attack. Colombia is wild. Nelly Korda ties a record, and Michelle Wee West breakthrough. Oh yeah, I never said what I'm reading. This is DNYUZ. This is Derek Chauvin. Biden meets President Ashraf Ghani of Afghanistan at White House. Yankees, I'm not worried about baseball. Portland braces for triple-digit temps as heat wave hits the Pacific Northwest. Let's see. Free Republic. Hungary's anti-LGBTQ plus law had all EU leaders emotional, Dutch PM says. During border visit, Bishop speaks with Vice President about immigration. Japanese soccer player Yoko Yama comes out as transgender. Retired 4-star General McCaffrey calls for Tucker Carlson. I went over that. Does TBS approve Samantha Bee's vile attack on Governor DeSantis? I mean, she's not even funny though. She's not even funny. Grail delivers final study results showing its blood test accurately in spotting 50 different cancers. Wow, that's pretty big. Let's see. Fox News. Travis Barker says he might fly again 13 years after surviving deadly plane crash. I'm sure he had to do a lot of therapy for that. Chinese Communist Party condemned by bipartisan resolution for 100 years of human rights abuses. Republicans demand apology after Democrat calls Congressman racist for CRT question. Florida families and friends desperate for answers as rescue operation continues in condo collapse. Texas Governor Greg Abbott sued by state Dems for vetoing their pay after election bill walkout. I mean, if you walk out, you're not doing your job. So if you're not doing your job, you don't deserve your paycheck. Let's see. Several states legalized fentanyl test strips to help save lives. Camilla ripped for blaming border crisis on Trump. Yeah, I mean, he's not even in office. How can you blame him? Y'all the ones that leave it wide open. Media Research Center, White House VP chose to visit. We went over that. Comedian Myers lie about GOP anti-CRT law. Latino Nets cover for Camilla Harris. Trigger 45th drives Latino net news for Camilla Harris. New York court strips Giuliani of law. We talked about that. All right, let's see what else we got going on here. Let's see. Let's do the New York Post. Baylor point guard Jared Butler could be Knicks draft option. Dominic Smith's walk-off single gives Mets, that's baseball. Islanders. Innocent teachers publicly shamed in English for murder mystery. Letters to the editor. GOP mayor hopefuls Sliwa blast Orthodox Jews in bigoted rant. Let's see what he has to say, just for craps and giggles. Let's see what he said. Is there a video? Yeah. I'm not hearing anything.
I think it's better here.
But that's what's happening in New York.
So, Mr. Sleever, you want to come on up?
All right, let's see what he says.
It's a pleasure to be with all of you tonight here in Monroe, and it's part of the mission that we've set out on. It's part of the tour that I'm making all over the state from Buffalo to Brooklyn. It's called Every Vote Counts, and it really does. Because obviously the issues that are pertinent to you, specific to you, may be different than what exists in Erie County or in Albany County or Onondaga County or the 5 boroughs in the city of New York. But it always really comes down to the same thing, corruption. We live in New York State, which is the most corrupt state in the nation, bar none. And if you scratch your head, you say, what? We supersede New Jersey? It's a corrupt state? When I was growing up as a kid, as corrupt as New York was, you always looked at New Jersey across the Hudson and you said, you know, they're so corrupt there, Democrats and Republicans, so when they die, you go to the wake, you know, to pay your respects. They can't close the casket, they're so crooked. You got to find a Black & Decker power drill to drill them into the cemetery ground. But that's what's happened in New York. Both sides of the aisle. Just look at what's happened up in Albany. Look what's happened locally. Whether it's Orange County or whether it's Rockland County. People being taken out in daisy-chain perk walks. And it doesn't matter their party affiliation. And why? Because they feel they can. They put their beak in the trough. They get very greedy. They go to jail, and we think that everyone has learned their lesson. No, because there are others who come in their place because they feel they're entitled. And that's the reason I got involved with the Reform Party. I want to give you a little bit of an idea because for most of you, as was mentioned, you know me as the leader of the Guardian Angels. Started in 1979 to fight crime.
So he was the Guardian Angel. Okay, I don't know where it is where he made the statement, but let's see where it says, we're not talking about poor, impoverished, disabled people who need help. We're talking about able-bodied men who study Torah and Talmud all day and subsidize them. And we subsidize them. Okay? I don't see anything wrong with what he said if it's true. And then all they do is make babies like there's no tomorrow. And who's subsidizing that? We are. We allow this fraud to perpetrate. Perpetuate. Said Sliwa. I don't know how you pronounce his name. Who called the ultra-Orthodox sects the worst when it comes to siphoning off social services. The absolute worst. I mean, I don't know. It could be true what he's saying. I really don't know. I really don't know anything about this, but if it is true, it's I'm sure that it's not anti-Semitic if it's true. If they're really, you know, just taking all this government money He said they don't vote the way normal Americans do. They're being told by the rabbi, this is who you vote for. He said the alleged ordering of people to vote a certain way was oppression, akin to something that would be done in Iran or Saudi Arabia. Well, black people tell other black people that too, to vote for the Democrats too. So, I really don't know. I don't know anything about this stuff. I'm gonna have to do some research on it. But if it's true, it's not anti-Semitic. But if he's making this up, it ain't right. But I'm gonna have to do some research into that because I don't know. And y'all know if I don't know much about something, I'm not gonna speak on it. I'm gonna do my research first. Especially when it's something as sensitive as that. I want to get my facts right. All right, let's see. Where was I? Oh yeah. Let's see. Facebook rejects talks with Australia publisher, may test online law. Let's see. Tristan Thompson drops heart emoji on Chloe's post with daughter. New Yorkers flock to roller skating rinks, embrace disco era and outfits. That's pretty funny. Jet signing. I like football and I watch a little bit of basketball, but I try not to make this a sports thing unless it's actually about politics. Like you'll see me killing LeBron James because he's freaking horrible and he hates America, even though he's a millionaire, got nothing to complain about. Like he got to worry about being stopped by the police or something. He's an idiot, and he's pro China and all that. So you might see me going for LeBron on here, but it's about politics. Let's see. A deeper look into Jacob deGrom's ridiculous Mets. It's more sports. Travis Barker, we talked about. Let's see, is any other stuff we want to hit? Something about Sean King. Oh, this is the Post Millennial. Post Millennial, if y'all don't know, is a Canadian website. They're center. I would say center right, a little right. But especially being out of Canada, it's really good. They do some good analysis. Let's see. Sean King wants justice for vandalized George Floyd statue. A year ago, he demanded Jesus statue be torn down. Wow. Okay. I don't agree with the George Floyd statue, but if the city puts it up, the city puts it up. It don't need to be vandalized just because you disagree with it. I'm a principled person. I don't agree with the statue, but people put it up. Leave it alone. Gosh. You don't like it, then go to your board meeting, your city board meetings and stuff, and tell them to take it down. Don't vandalize it. That's just stupid. You're not helping anyone by vandalizing stuff. Let's see, hot air. Van Jones. I'll talk about that. Texas Democrats sue Governor Abbott for defunding the state legislator. We talked about that. Macy Gray. Talked about that. Let's see, BPR. President Joe Biden failure to lead on crime is going to slam Democrats at polls. I know, I'm telling you, in 2022, Republicans are going to sweep because all they got to do is be tough on crime. In all these major cities, crime is up in every single major city that's ran by Democrats. I'm going to repeat. Every single city that's ran by Democrats, the crime has skyrocketed like crazy, and they're trying to blame it on the COVID. That's not the case. It's the defund the police, the hatred for the police. We got places like LA that won't even arrest people that steal out of stores. I watched a video when a dude literally came in with a plastic bag, put stuff in the plastic bag, went on the shelf, pulled stuff off the shelf, put it in the plastic bag, and then he just walked right out the store. Nothing was done. It's and this is why it's so bad, because they allow people to do stuff like that. So again, I'm gonna say, like I always say, I have no empathy for people that vote for governors and mayors that allow this stuff. I have no empathy for these cities because they allow it. Let's see. Justice Alito reported growing increasingly pissed at the direction of the so-called conservative court. Yeah, it's not conservative. Cuomo signs law aiding gender option to New York driver's license and birth certificates. Of course. George Floyd, we talked about that statue. ESPN's Jalen Rose disappointed USA Olympics basketball team includes token white player. I'm not even gonna get into that. I can't. I don't know. New York Times Thomas Friedman terrified Dems defunding the police effort will get Trump reelected. I told you this. That was my theory. It's good. The country is gonna get so bad. It's gonna be so bad. Inflation is gonna be high. Crime is gonna be super high. People gonna be. I mean, it's gonna be bad. It's gonna be bad for the next couple of years. That in 2022, Republicans is gonna sweep the House and the Senate, and in 2024, Trump is gonna be reelected. That's my You can note it now. That's my that's my best educated guess. We'll see what happens, but that's what I believe is gonna happen. So by 2024, I'm gonna be like, I told you. I told you. But let's see. Real Clear Politics. Y'all know how I feel about Real Clear Politics. I will say this about Real Clear Politics. They have both sides. This is one of the actual news sites where they have some leftists and they have some people on the right. So which is good. I like being able to go through and look at both sides and compare and contrast. So let's see what they say in Real Clear Politics. We haven't went over Real Clear Politics for a while. A fond farewell to Conan O'Brien. We've never heard Britney Spears like this. Let's see. Meet the Censored. Brett Weinstein canceled on campus for speaking his mind. He's now going through a sequel at the hands of Silicon Valley. Senator Cotton left no longer content with totalitarian. With toleration. No joke. They never was tolerant. They were only tolerant as if you believed in their ideas. Welcome to Georgia, where election integrity goes to die. At the border, Harris visits city that proves wall work. Democrats has narrow chances to retain control after 2022. And that's what, let's go into this really quick. Because that's what I've been saying. I think 2022 is going to be a sweep for Republicans. Let's see. Read full article. The assumption among... Hold on. The assumption among most politicians and bettors is that Republicans will win control of the House next year, perhaps the Senate too. I think they're going to sweep. I think they're going to get the House and the Senate. It's reflection in the Democrats rushing to get anything done in Congress, worry it's the last chance, and pressuring Supreme Court Justice Stephen Breyer to step down so they can tap a replacement. Republicans mainly want to thwart Joe Biden and not antagonize Donald Trump. Most even oppose bipartisan commission to investigate the Trump-inspired January 6th mob assault on the Capitol. This is, however, a pathway, albeit a narrow one, for Democrats to keep control. First, the Senate will pass legislation that overturns voting suppression laws enacting in a number of Republican-controlled states, a compromise offered last week by Senator Joe Manchin. The key Democrat offers a way. It would delete many of the provisions in the massive House passed bill, will override some of the onerous state provisions, and make Election Day a national holiday every 2 years. That would be cool. Stacey Abrams, the prominent black politician, has accepted Manchin's middle ground. Like, what? She's not in government. What power does Stacey Abrams have? I don't get it. And she's famous for losing. I never met someone so famous for losing, going around the country, pushing the Rules for Radicals agenda by Saul Alinsky. It's her. It's her. That's what Saul Alinsky is typified in her. Without that, Democrats face a decidedly uphill struggle. With it, they still have to meet other challenges. One prerequisite is a booming economy next fall. The census outlook for robust growth for the next year and a half, with jobless rate dropping to 4% or below, strong wages, and rising disposable income. Politically, that would easily offset 3 to 4% inflation. The average American would be better off than today, a lot better off than 2 years before. I don't think that's true, but that's what they say. This will undercut the Republican refrain from reckless Biden policies. Then there's the 3 R's: redistricting, retirement, and recruitment. Manchin would curtail partisan gerrymandering, with Republicans having planned to parlay and to gain a net half dozen House seats. Since open seats usually are easier to win, retirements matter. Already there are 5 Senate Republican retirements, 3 or 4 of which will result in competitive races. As of today, there are 13 open House seats. Alright, so I think that's it for that. Let's see if there's anything else important going on. Let's see. All right. We are at let's see, the Western Journal: government lockdown, architect get busted violating his own rules. It's happened time and time again. These people do not even follow their own rules because they think they're above the rules that they create. Protesters raise perfect sign as Camilla visit border. You don't need to know much Spanish to see the brutal message here. That's pretty funny. That's great. Top podcaster Joe Rogan declares Biden is out of his mind and barely hanging in there. Okay, let's check this out. I think this might be, Western Journal might be the last one that I go over. Let's see. Is there a video? Yeah, let's take a look at this. Here's the video.
Than anything up north.
If you could go back in time to any era and just visit for a little bit, where would you go?
Probably like 5 years ago, and just make some different choices about the clubs I played. Just pick a different.
you wouldn't want to go to like watch Ben Franklin get electrocuted. You'd.
Am I just seeing like a specific moment, or is it just like
if I give you a week, you could spend a week, and you knew you'd be safe.
Okay, I just think the 60s were a really formative time for this country, and I think getting hopping around just to the vibe and just all the unrest and the change and really coming out of losing our innocence as a nation and sort of catapulting us into what would become the country. I think the 60s were really fascinating.
I bet a lot of people in the future are going to say that about the 20s. What's happening right now.
You can't even substantiate your own facts with the right facts because it's hard to drill down those facts. Everybody that agrees with you sort of does in theory, but is it always in practice? And it is hard to find solid ground. Mm-hmm. And so it's scary just how angry the mob is and how, if you look at cancel culture, I don't even think people want an apology in many cases. They just want to see someone burn.
They definitely do.
It's like the medieval times. It's like medieval times, like the Middle Ages. It's a dark period.
There's a disconnect between other people, right? That's happening when you're attacking someone online. They're not near you. You're not talking to them. They're not a human. They are the other. And you can attack them in that way. Mm-hmm. And if they get taken down, they lose their job. People like it.
They like it.
So when does he talk about Joe Biden? That's what
it's like you scored a point. You're playing a video game. You killed a bad guy.
you feel, because people feel so helpless.
Okay, I'm just gonna read it. Rogan. Let's see. Where's the quote? Here we go. Rogan, comedian. Okay, he says, in the future they're gonna be saying it's one of the most tumultuous periods in history of the country. Rogan said. Sling Singer agreed, quote, we'll look back at it, it will be scary. Everybody was afraid of getting canceled. People were eating each other. Nobody was listening to science, she said. Rogan then argued the nation is rudderless, quote, well, we're unhinged in a lot of ways, and we're not anchored down by a real leader. You know, we don't really have a real leader in this country anymore, he said. Quote, you can say Joe Biden is the president, he's our leader, and you be correct on paper. But I mean, everybody knows he's out of his mind, he's just barely hanging in there. It's true. They literally hired, the country literally hired, you know what I'm saying? I don't really think he got 80-something million votes, but let's go with it for the sake of argument. The country, we literally hired a man that has dementia and don't even know where he is half the time. He's stumbling, bumbling around. He gets lost. His wife has to be by his side, grabbing his arm to make sure he's walking to where he needs to go. She's his handler. It's crazy. They won't let him answer any questions that's off cuff. It's crazy. Biden behavior Thursday when he whispered words into a microphone during a news conference also drew attention. I must have missed that one. Where is... I wish they had a video of that. He said, Joe Biden whispering into the microphone during a press conference may be some of the most cringe comments. Let's click on this. Maybe this is the video right here. Let's see. I want to see the video. Hopefully they got the video of it. No. Here you go.
I got them $1.9 trillion relief so far. They're going to be getting checks in the mail that are consequential. I wrote the bill on the environment. Pay them more. This is an employees bargaining chip now. What's happening?
That is creepy, man. Biden blames employees for persistent high unemployment claims. Consensus believes inflation will go back down. Inflation's not going back down. That's just weird. That's our president right there. That is our president. Hey, Robert, you said nobody sees me. Do you see me now, Robert? You still there, Robert? Can you see me? Cause I'm on I'm showing that it's working. Let's see. I'm gonna go. Hopefully y'all could see me. That's weird. I'll check it out. But that's it. That's it for today. Maybe I'll get on a little bit later and do some other stuff. I'm hoping this video will record it properly because Robert said that nobody sees me. So I'll check on that. But if you guys like to support the channel, you could donate at DEMOCREPUBLIX at PayPal /DEMOCREPUBLIX, or you can go to through Cash App, JSite, or you can go to DEMOCREPUBLIX.com where we have a bunch of news. You click that donate button there, or you can message me, let me know what you think. Leave your comments down below, like, share, and subscribe. And again, check out DEMOCREPUBLIX.com for the latest in news. Until next time. We live in a real nightmare.